It's a fact that can stop you in your tracks. A fact that feels almost impossible to believe. When the bomb exploded at the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, it did more than just kill 4 little girls. It started a clock, a very long one. For nearly 4 decades, one of the men responsible, Thomas Blanton Jr., walked free. He lived his life. He worked jobs. He saw the seasons change. He grew old. All the while, the families of his victims waited. They waited for a knock on the door, a phone call, a sign that justice hadn't forgotten them. It's a staggering length of time, isn't it? 38 years, a lifetime for some. And for all those years, the truth was buried, a secret kept by men who believed they were above the law. Think about that for a moment. Imagine a crime so horrific, so public, so deeply scarring to the soul of a nation, and yet the gears of justice simply refused to turn. Thomas Blanton wasn't hiding in some foreign country or living under a fake name. He was right there, in Alabama, a known figure to law enforcement. He lived a life that was, on the surface, unremarkable. But beneath that ordinary exterior was a secret so dark it could poison generations. The silence surrounding his guilt wasn't just a failure of the system. It was a testament to the power of hate and the complicity of a society unwilling to confront its own demons. Who was this man? Thomas Blanton Jr. He wasn't a monster who looked the part. He was, by many accounts, an ordinary man, a blue-collar worker, a father. But beneath that veneer of normalcy was a deep and abiding hatred. Blanton was a member of the Ku Klux Klan, specifically a splinter group known as the United Klans of America, one of the most violent and radical KKK factions of the era. Born and raised in Alabama, Blanton was a product of the Jim Crow South. He absorbed the racial prejudices that were as common as the humid summer air. He attended Klan meetings, participated in rallies, and listened to speeches that dehumanized Black Americans and called for violent resistance to integration. They planned their actions in secret, meeting in the dead of night, their identities often hidden under white robes and hoods. It's important to understand that Blanton was not an outlier. He was part of a network. He had allies, friends, and supporters who believed in his cause. Men like Robert Chambliss, known as Dynamite Bob, and Bobby Frank Cherry were his comrades in hate. He lived his life in a sort of double reality. To the outside world, he might have been a neighbor, a co-worker. But in the shadows, he was part of a conspiracy. It was September 15th, 1963, a Sunday morning. Inside the 16th Street Baptist Church, the air was filled with anticipation. It was Youth Day. Young members of the congregation were preparing to lead the service. In the basement ladies' lounge, 4 girls were getting ready. Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, Cynthia Wesley. They were dressed in their Sunday best, laughing and talking, adjusting their sashes. One of them had just asked another to tie her dress. They were just children, full of life and promise. Just before 10:22 a.m., the world shattered. A bomb made of at least 15 sticks of dynamite. It had been planted under the steps of the church, right below where the girls were gathered. The explosion was massive. It blew a hole through the thick brick wall. It shattered stained glass windows. Debris flew through the air. The blast could be heard for miles. Inside, chaos erupted. The joyful sounds of a Sunday morning were replaced by screams of terror and pain. The peaceful service was transformed into a scene of unimaginable horror. They found a scene of devastation. The basement lounge, where the 4 girls had been just moments before, was a crater of broken concrete and twisted metal. It was there that the bodies of the 4 young victims were discovered, their lives extinguished in an instant. Addie Mae's sister, Sarah Collins, was also in the lounge and was severely injured, blinded in one eye, but she survived. She would become a living witness to the horror of that day, carrying the physical and emotional scars for the rest of her life. The news of the bombing spread like wildfire, first through Birmingham, then across the nation, and finally around the world. It was an act of terror so vicious, so cowardly, that it shocked even a country that had become accustomed to the violence of the civil rights struggle. In the days and weeks following the bombing, the FBI quickly identified 4 primary suspects. The evidence seemed strong, but then something happened. Or rather, nothing happened. One major obstacle was the infamous FBI director, J. Edgar Hoover. Reports indicate that Hoover actively blocked the prosecution of the suspects in the 1960s. He claimed there wasn't enough evidence for a conviction. The local political and social climate in Alabama was another formidable barrier. Juries were all white. Witnesses were terrified to come forward, fearing violent retaliation from the Klan. As the years turned into decades, the case became a symbol of justice denied. The families had to live with the knowledge that the men who murdered their children were walking free. The key to unlocking the cold case came from an unexpected place, a secret recording. In the 1990s, a new generation of investigators reopened the files. Their biggest break came from an FBI informant. Years earlier, he had worn a wire. He secretly recorded conversations with Thomas Blanton. On one tape, made while Blanton spoke to his then-wife, he described attending a Klan meeting where they planned the bomb. That tape became the smoking gun. In 2001, 38 years after the bombing, Thomas Blanton Jr. was arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. The trial was a historic moment. The prosecution laid out its case meticulously. They presented the secret recordings. They brought aged witnesses to the stand. They told the story of the 4 little girls and the hate-filled ideology that led to their deaths. After a week of testimony, the jury delivered its verdict: guilty. Thomas Blanton Jr. was convicted on all 4 counts and sentenced to life in prison. Justice, delayed nearly 4 decades, had finally been served. Blanton was sent to prison, where he remained until his death in 2020. A final reckoning, a promise fulfilled to the 4 little girls.